you know.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. Tonight, our guests are Zachary and Brett. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you for having us on the show.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. I was skimming through your Kickstarter, and I liked what I saw. I thought it was cool that you got a little donation there from Joe Kubert. I wasn't reading anything there. I was like scrolling by. I'm like, oh, I guess he did go there. He signs his name just like Joe Cooper. And then I read underneath, this is a donation by Joe Cooper. I'm like, oh, well, that explains that.
No, it was a cool place to be. I definitely learned a lot being there. I published my first graphic novel. It was an anthology book with 23 other QB school students. So while being there on the way out, the character that was in that book is also in this one right here.
The continuing adventures of
Zonderon.
And the book's gonna be black and white, or is that
So it's gonna have colors. The way that I planned it for this month is that I get all the line work done this month, and I send all those pages out once it funds on Kickstarter out to my colorist. My colorist isn't gonna take that long. I think it's gonna be like 2 to 3 weeks he's gonna need from that.
So we'll see. We're seeing all the line work now.
Mm-hmm.
For everything that you show on Kickstarter, and then once it goes through that process and your colorist knocks it out, you can just update the images on Kickstarter and everybody can see.
Yep, I'll go ahead and I'll keep updating everybody. I've already had as the new things are going, I already have 4 updates. So any new little thing that happens, I feel like that's important just to let everybody know. So I'll go ahead and I'll throw that in.
Yeah, keep everybody engaged.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Now, a lot of people are hip on keys, and now that the graphic novel you did with all the other students at school is Zonderon's actual first appearance.
If you want to,
is there a way to get that graphic novel?
Not on this one. Not on this Kickstarter. Because of the weight in itself, it's a heavy book. Mm-hmm. And shipping's very expensive. This is also my first Brad and I's first Kickstarter together. So I really wanted to go ahead and learn how to do this, understand how it works through and through, so that way the next Kickstarter that happens that has Zonderon in it, I'll go ahead and throw the anthology book back in.
Cool. That way, everybody in the future they can all get a copy of his first appearance.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny because I'll look back on some of that art that I did for it. I'm like, oof. It's definitely gotten a lot better. Is this even a good thing? But people don't care. I know that it matters.
Yeah, we'll see the progression. As you go, and the more you do, the more you refine your skills, the better you get.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for everything. So hopefully, because man, my first podcast was
Yeah, no, looking back on it, it is you yourself, you can be like, ooh, you kind of cringe a little bit, and you're hoping that people don't go far back on that,
Mm.
but they will, and you just kind of have to grit your teeth. But people love that, and progression's what they care about the most when it comes to the things that they're passionate about. So, yeah, I'm also excited that they care a lot to the point they're like, I want that first appearance or that first copy. It doesn't matter what it looks, I want that, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, well, the indie community has grown by leaps and bounds. It's had its first like huge explosion since like the '90s. So it's just a great thing because there's an audience that all they do is scroll around, Kickstarters and Indiegogos. That's the only place they shop. They've seen and heard all the superhero stories from the big two, and something else from like small press catches their eye, they'll grab it. But a lot of people I talk to, they're like, I want to read something different,
Mm-hmm.
and see different talent, and stuff from different parts of the world, or whatever it is. And so they're just cruising the indie scene. And there's a there's a there's like a good amount of stores now that are like really very supportive of the indie community. So I mean, I'm thrilled to see that, because it used to be like really big. Like I've been going to my LCS for like 35 years. Yes, I'm old. But when I first started going there, like small press and indie books would be the bottom two rows, like 6 feet across, for where they would put like all their new releases. So like all the small press stuff, and I would always look there because there would always be some obscure small press book from this guy.
Oh wow.
And before he went completely batshit crazy. But I still love all his work. Like a lot of the black and white stuff that came out that he was doing, over in the UK, and it was getting imported over here. And I've got it someplace in like these millions of boxes over here. I have just a few books, and I've sold that collection like 3 times over already. So,
Gosh. Wow.
so why don't you tell us what first attracted you to comics?
It was in the beginning. It was a way to escape, just from the things that was going on at the time, and it was fifth grade, and I was in the back of the car. My dad was driving us to a hospital appointment for his girlfriend at the time, and we passed by a comic store with all these painting superheroes on the brick building, and it just stunned me. I was like, "Oh my god, this place is so cool!" And as a kid, I just kept nagging my dad. He's like, "If you behave at the hospital, maybe I'll even think about it." But I don't know. My father was like one of those people that, like, most of the time he never, fell through on that promise. But no, this day I made sure I had my hands underneath my butt, sitting in the chair, didn't make a sound in the hospital. And on the way back, we decided he stopped in. I go in, and there's like toys, the ceiling hanging. There's thousands and those comics all over the place. It just blew my mind. And I picked up my first book, Web of Spider-Man, issue number 66, and the artwork just blew me away. I knew right then and there, once I read that book and it was done like several times, I was just like right then and there. That's what I wanted to do. Like, was just to enter the comic field.
What about you, Brett?
Well, I mean, for me, it's always been about the storytelling. I mean, basically, the superheroes that we read in books and we see on the big screen now are, the modern versions of, the Greek gods, basically. Ulysses, Zeus, all those great, characters from time immemorial. And then, it's kind of traveled down through the years. Like, my father growing up, his thing was Westerns, so, comics and those kind of characters became, our generation's, Westerns or Greek gods and gods like Perseus and Zeus. So, it's always the morality tales, the stories, the eternal struggle of good and evil. And, you become part of these characters' families. I mean, every time, someone dies in one of the comics, you feel it. I mean, I think I remember growing up and, when you had the 900 number to call in, when was Robin going to live or die? That was a big thing for me, so, it's the storytelling, it's the characters, and obviously, in the end, it's also the art too. The art definitely can make you feel so many different things. I mean, sometimes just the cover can, sum up the way you're feeling that day. You have a crappy day, you look at a cover of, X-Men or Superman, Batman, and you're just kind of re-energized and you're ready to take on a whole new day. So I think definitely they're a source of strength, and they're just a good time in the end.
Yeah, well, I was born way back in 1969. I know it was way back because now when I go to a doctor's appointment, I got to scroll for like an hour till I get to my birth year. I'm gonna punch everything in on the computer. But I was born between the 60s and the 70s. Of course, I was a little kid in the 70s, and they had just started rerunning episodes of the Adam West Batman TV show.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like 3 or 4, and I was like, I was just, and a good friend of mine that I'm still friends with to this day loves telling the story when we get together at cookouts in the summertime. That was when we used to cook food over an open flame, and lots of people would gather around and, have some drinks and stuff. Just in case people from like last year don't remember any of this stuff.
Right.
And every time somebody, because they'll have like, work friend, everybody have like work friends, or, they just got married, or they got a new girlfriend, or, boyfriend or whatever, and they show up. And my buddy Mike likes introducing me. He goes, first time I met this kid, he had a hand towel tucked in the back of his shirt, and he was running up and down the street singing the Batman TV theme. I'm like, yeah, great.
I think we've all been there.
So I'm like, I used to have the Batman utility belt, but I remember, you get like a big bowl of cereal on a Saturday morning, and you sit down, you watch all the cartoons, like all the superhero stuff, and there would be like live action stuff, like the live action Shazam was on when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But then you knew when Bugs Bunny came on that it's either look outside after that and see if your friends are out playing yet. If not, on one channel, you're either going to watch one of the old spaghetti westerns, or you're going to flip over to Creature Double Feature and watch like, Godzilla or King Kong or something until everybody's out ready to play ball.
That's a tough choice for sure,
And I'm like, and I like all that crap, so I'm like, but there weren't any. I didn't find my first comic book store till I was like 15, and it's still the one. It's still the one I go to this day. At one point, I was actually an assistant manager there, and worked there for many years. And but when I was a kid, there weren't any comic book stores around. They were just, in the big city. Like you'd have some like in Boston and New York and like Dallas and LA.
Yeah.
But, you didn't have. Okay. But there, I lived in a small town, so there was none around us, but we used to go to like the local Five and Dime, or, the pharmacy, before CVS bought up every single one. And, as long as I was good that week, I'd get to go to the spinner rack in the middle of the store, see what was there, and, get like a new book every week. and I would read those things till the covers fell off. We used to, one of my friends would buy like, Spider-Man and Hulk. I'd buy, Batman and, Legion of Superheroes. We'd finish reading them. We'd roll them up in our pocket, ride to each other's houses, exchange books. We'd read them till the covers fell off.
Yeah.
And now I got to go back and pay like, a lot more money than cover price for those things to get them back again. But I've actually been going around and re-getting all the issues. I actually just bought like a really nice copy of the first comic I ever bought, which was an issue of Detective where the creeper was kicking the crap out of Batman on the cover.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we want to take a look at the Kickstarter. And you guys are 45% funded. We got 12 days to go. 73 backers. So you got a good amount of people backing this one already.
Yeah, I still, just me in general, I worry a lot. So I'm really hoping that this one goes through. That's why I've been hitting up Facebook a lot, sharing it, and all the social media, just taking advice from everybody and figuring out what's the best route to go ahead and spread this as much as I can.
Oh yeah, you gotta spread this thing like COVID. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're like almost at the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't see like a goal of like 5,000, especially like on a first Kickstarter. I usually see like 1,500, 2,500, because it's a more obtainable goal, and then you obviously want to go as far as you can to get everything covered.
Mm-hmm.
But you just want to make sure like everything's funded so you can do the whole project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a thought. You're my 82nd Kickstarter I've talked. Actually, more than that, because I co-host CromCon with Pops now.
Yeah, I actually just did a podcast with him last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, he great guy, man.
Oh yeah, I was doing. I had a cancellation on my 8:00 show. But I started last night. I started featuring artists on Monday nights, so like a live talk and draw. And I had Sean Howe on last night, and he did a really cool Mandalorian piece.
Oh, cool!
Dope.
Cool.
Although we didn't realize we were on for 4 hours.
For this Kickstarter, with the goal being 5,000, I did a lot of the numbers with Sam Quinton.
Oh yeah.
I was always hitting him up for information and what's the best route to go, and he always, he was telling me, do this, and do this, check this, and then come back to me. So I'll go back to him and be like, all right, so I need the funding for these things, and here's why, and whatever. So it's not like the 5,000 is like just this number that I'm just like throwing out there,
Oh no, I understand where it comes from.
I just hope that when people do see that, it's like, oh man, okay, I'll still pledge it. It doesn't matter.
Another good resource to talk to would be. Let me pull up his name so I don't butcher it, because he's always like shooting me emails and messages. Let's see, where is it? It is Kevin Goulet from NSC Live.
He also does Inkforge, right?
Yeah.
No, he's actually my PR guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to help me out with this one.
Yeah, because I'm actually part of the podcast roadshow for NSC.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I've
you-
got him and another PR firm that are like always hitting me up, like, you know, sending me people. So I interviewed a couple of guys from the UK last week that work on John Carpenter's comics.
Okay. Yeah. Was it me and Kevin? We were talking, and Kevin he calls me up at 3 a.m. I was
I know.
wow,
I'm
while I
like,
was drawing.
yeah.
Yeah. And no, I'm an all nighter guy, so I was already up, and he was telling me, he goes, "Hey, listen, like I got these people ready, um, and it was like about this advertising tier, and me and him were just going back and forth, and I was writing down, and there was a tier I added into the Kickstarter, I think the next day and a half, and it's basically for anybody who has podcasts, any writers, artists, local comic shops, if they're interested, if they throw down 225, they'll get 30 copies of the book. They'll get, I think it was like 25 or 30 copies of the book, 30 prints, and I do variant covers specific to them, so they get their very own variant cover for those that run.
Cool.
And and I've almost forgot, and they have an advertising slot in the book, so they have all their information in a panel.
Well, if I wasn't living on Social Security and the government stimulus check wasn't a lousy 600,
I feel that.
I could do something for that. I'm like, I got it. I went and picked up, like, you know, a little over $100 worth of comics from my shop. I ordered a comic press for a heat press for myself, so I can, self press some comics, because I have like boxes upon boxes of spine roll.
Oh yeah.
So I'm
That's
like, I go these, and some of the books are probably like, not worth anything, but I'm like, well, they look, they look like waves from Hawaii. I just, throw it under there so I can reread this book. I can't read it when it's going like that. Plus I send certain things in to get graded. I only get something graded if it's a key, or like if I got like my first appearance of Ra's al Ghul from Neil Adams signed. Yeah, I'd get that grade and hang it on the wall.
Yeah.
But
you can retire off that.
If I only knew. I got out of the hospital before my checks got adjusted, and I kind of had to hurry up and put food on the table. And my daughter was staying with me for a couple of weeks, so I actually had to sell my copy.
Oof.
But I sold it to a friend that was also a writer for Outright Geekery, like I was, and he's like a true comic fan. So he pressed it, and he's got it up in a frame, and it's hanging up in the in his living room in his little comic book section. So I know, if anything, if he's going to get rid of it, he said he'd call me and just sell it back to me. Not what I sold it to him for, of course, but sadly. But
well, at least it's got a good home right now.
If I sell something, and I know the person I'm selling it to, and they're like a true comic fan, I'm like, don't get me wrong, but it's like I still like ripped out my own heart and stomped on it on the floor, because I actually sold a comic, and but at least I know it's a good home, and it's going to somebody that really loves the medium.
Right, appreciates it.
But what am I doing there? I want to come over here. Here we go. Yeah, I was scrolling through everything. There we go. So this is this is both of your very first Kickstarters?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Zach's already a fan of Kickstarter comics. He's backed 6.
Yeah. One of them was the McFarlane action figure Spawn. Saw that
Lucky.
last year. I saw that last year. I was like, oh my God, man. I got to get my hand on that. So I remember bothering Brett about it. Actually, me and Brett were at the same apartment because we were still students at the time. So I crashed over at the apartment, and lo and behold, Todd McFarlane's like, "Hey, let me give you an action figure," and I just kept raving about it. So nah, he knew.
Oh my God!
Brett, actually, didn't you pledge?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I have yet to receive mine yet. So
yeah, I haven't got mine either. I know Todd put out like a bunch of updates and stuff. I think they said they're shipping, but I haven't gotten mine yet.
Yeah, once it hits overseas, he's gonna give a tracking number, so we'll get that. No, it's so solid. I love that.
Yeah, I'm just like, you got to drool over all the stuff that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He
was one of my inspirations. Kind of like in a way that I draw now. Like, I definitely look at Todd's art and I try to figure out like how he figured out the certain techniques that he did. That was one of the early artists that I was looking at a lot.
Yeah, I grew up on, of course, like because of being such a Batman fan. Neil Adams and then Jim Aparo. And I liked like all the odd characters. Like I liked the Demon and the Creeper and Phantom Stranger and Constantine and I loved Swamp Thing. I still do, but and then taste progress, move forward. And I think not long after I graduated high school, I started going to the old Star Trek creation conventions with a friend of mine, and they'd always hand out like those black and white booklets, with what was going on, panels and guest speakers and blah blah blah. And I got one of those, and I'm looking through, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, this art is badass. It was early JML. And somewhere in these boxes, I still have those. So at some point, I'm going to get to meet Joe Linsner, and I'm going to get him to sign those black and white ones, and I'm going to put them all up in like a big frame on my wall. So
sure, yeah, that would blast for a past right there.
Yeah, it was pre. It was, I guess, it was just a short while before he did Crypt of Dawn.
Very cool.
But I'm like, still. So tell us a little bit about your character here. There he is.
So I'll explain kind of like how I thought of him as an idea and whatnot, and then Brett's really good at like the whole story explaining that, so I'll have him take on.
Well, that's his job. He's the writer.
No, I'm like, it's hard for me to explain certain things when it comes to that stuff. He's really good with that. So what? It was right after I saw the Green Lantern movie. And believe it or not, I was, even though I hated that movie, I was like, at that time, it was in 7th grade. So I was trying to figure out how to create characters. And I was just like making characters off of like the things that's already been made. And around that time frame is when I started creating characters out of my head, just away from everything else, to try to figure out and piece it all together. When I went to the school, when I went to the school, I started writing more and more on this character in my first year as a student, and I was always like writing and revising it, asking teachers for advice and whatnot. And then when second year came along, I kind of put him on a back burner, and I gave him so much clothes and like so much detail. So when second year came around, I started pulling back on that. I started ripping out like the things that he didn't need on a visual look and certain things in the origin, and I was just keeping the things that was essential, that was important to the character, and the things that mattered. Um, and then around October is when I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna wait to go ahead and after I get out of the school to make a book. I want to make one right now. And I had a bright idea to like bring 23 other Cuba School students together on this. So I started asking around. So once the book was made, it kind of like finalized certain things of the character for me, but there was still so much to go in the origin, and there was a lot of gaps to be filled. So during my third year, every now and then, I was writing a lot more on the character to try to solidify him. And then eventually, when COVID hit, and we all had to like scramble and hustle around to get our homework done, I went to Brett. I was like, Brett, can you like, you want to help me out with this? Because he Brett's really good with creating right on the point. His ideas is always solid. It just takes him 5 minutes just to think of it. He's got like this whole thing all ready to go, like a pitch ready. And it literally took him like, I don't know, like an hour or something. He's just like, here, give me time. He goes in his room and he just like sits on his bed and like away from everyone. It just takes like a solid hour, comes back, and like the origin story just blew me away. And a lot of the things that it took me years to try and figure out, he just like he just like he took care of it in 1 hour. I was like, so I was kind of like, a little irritated because I looked at myself like, man, it's taking me so long. I could have just asked for this guy's help during first year. Like, but yeah, what the character's all about, I'm gonna leave that to you, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, Zach, he's been, working on this for years. I remember first year when I met him, speaking with him, where we all lived. It was called the Mansion, which it literally was like this 100-year-old mansion. And you have a bunch of Kubert students in there, and it's a whole kind of creative swapping of ideas and admiration for each other's art. And I just remember speaking with Zach, and he was, showing me his preliminary sketches for the character, who had a different name at the time. And, I was just hearing about his character, and I was intrigued by it, of course. And then, that was first year. And, I know second year, you guys, they did the anthology and stuff. And then he came up with the new iteration, which became Sonderon now. And like Zach said, during COVID, we just started brainstorming on an origin story and kind of sort of a reason for Sonderon to be. You know what I'm saying? Is that a lot of things with these characters is that you can have a really cool character, but there needs to be a motivation for the character, and that's what we came up with Sonderon. We realized what his and having him not just being an adventurer and an explorer at heart, there needed to be something more. So, in his backstory and his mythology, we started going into more of, his culture, what caused his tribe to split from the main tribe, their race called the Cometans. And, you go back millennia and their whole planet was shattered into 4 different quadrants, and Sonderon is from one. And we won't go too much into the backstory, but basically, for Sonderon to unite his world, he has to go out and find these pieces of a mythical sphere, which had been forgotten long in time. So that's basically what we came up with for Sonderon. Sort of, I mean, of course, there's always going to be the side adventures and the different people and adventures that he falls into, like the ones that's in the Kickstarter here. This story is sort of an offshoot, I guess you could call this. This would be just kind of like a kind of a one-time adventure kind of thing. But there is still that main purpose for him to unite his home world and in a way bring peace to the galaxy. So that's basically what I guess if you could put in a nutshell what Sonderon is. And I will say that Sonderon, like all great characters, he's one that he never wanted this responsibility. He's definitely one of these characters that this destiny was put upon him by happenstance. And I think for characters like that, I think are more rewarding and I think more relatable to a reader, because how many times do we kind of find ourselves sort of the world isn't going the way that we thought it was, but we're trying to just get through life and trying to figure out what our path is, basically. Some people they oh, you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be a lawyer or something like that. And the majority of us are just trying to find our way in the world. And I think that's what kind of makes Sonderon a great character, because again, he never really wanted this. I mean, he had aspirations of seeing what was beyond the horizon, but this destiny that was put upon him, this was the farthest thing in his life that he wanted. And again, I think that that's what makes these kind of characters relatable and much more enjoyable to a reader.
Yes, you could just be, a farm boy one day, and then greatness is thrust upon you. And
right, of course,
yeah,
the classic Joseph Campbell hero's journey story.
I think that's okay to throw out there. I think that's a book that everyone should have. I really do agree. It's a little hard to read, but once you get it and you start, you power through it, things start clicking. And like, I have a copy, and I think that's just a copy that every comic book creator, writer, artist out there, that it should have a copy.
And even just comic book fans.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's very important.
Well, Brett, I guess, you did pretty good for only going, sitting down in your room for like an hour and coming out and blasting this thing out.
Well, you see what I mean? It took him like, what, 10 minutes or something to like sum that all up? It would have taken me like an hour just to try to beating around the bush to get to the point. Like,
apparently Brett has some of that Jeff Lemire magic going on.
Oh, appreciate that.
The thing is that for me personally, is that being out of the school, the way that COVID happened, we were just kind of, it was one and done. Once we finished up our schooling, all of us in our third year, we were just kind of like, all right, you're good, go.
Right.
And that's how we felt. That's how like it, we feel it like it was treated at the time. So, we're sitting here scrambling around, and I told Brett, I was like, you know what, man, like this character is always going to be a character. Yeah, he'll have his story, but he'll also have like anthology books, and he's very malleable to work with, because if I need people to join with me to like work on a project, I can take some of those students that left and be like, hey, would you like to work on this book? Or hey, do you want to like jump in and work on something else? And as we speak, after this Kickstarter is all said and done, I'm also in the middle of figuring out book 2, anthology book 2 for Voyage, and that's got 27 Cooper School students. So that the adventure continues, and that's my whole thing, is to try to, like, if I'm going to be successful trying to get up there, I'm going to make sure that I bring as many people that I knew, that I'm friends with from the school, that need work and stuff, that work with me to get to that point.
And you guys won't even know, if the lockdown's lifted, because all you do is sit inside and create stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
you know, creatives were fine with it. You know, I'm in a wheelchair, so I don't go, I don't go out that much. I miss being able to, go out, without a face covering, and,
Mm-hmm.
I grab my phone or tablet and, read, get caught up on various things from, publishers and news sources for the day in the comic world, and to talk about. And
the thing that I think, that I believe 100% that makes this character really likable, and it's a great book to attach yourself quickly on, is because of the fact that the main character is a legitimate alien, an extraterrestrial. Like, how many sci-fi movies can you give me where the main character is actually an alien? You could go ahead and throw Predator or Alien at me, but I'll tell you right off the bat that the main character is actually human,
Right.
and the alien in the Predator is, the villain in that story.
Right.
And the Predator culture actually has, it has a hefty storyline to them. Like, they have their tribes, and they go they're with them combating against the alien. There's a whole story to that. Are we, when you see the Predator movie, what makes them the bad guys? It's just the point of view told. Mm-hmm. So I always thought, if you told the movie, I guarantee you, if you made a Predator movie right now and the main character is a Predator, and then there's no humans in it, it's just on its home world, everybody will flock to that theater to see it.
Oh yeah.
I think also, real quick, with that kind of thinking, I think what you have to do, and I think maybe what a lot of people they miss the mark on, is that, for however an alien looks, whether it be the Predator, Sonderon, I think the at the core, we're all sort of like the same kind of person, in the sense that, we all have dreams and desires, and there's things that we're afraid of. And I think that, maybe, these, the creators, book companies, studios, they can't, crack that nut, so to say. And I think that, they always feel that they need to tell the story like it's through the human's eyes, because we're the only ones who can relate to, like I said, if I'm looking on screen, I can't relate to Sonderon because he's, not a human. And that's wrong, I think, because, like you said, I think that if these, writers, creators realize that if you can inject the good things that make humans human into another species, people are going to get that species, no matter if he's green, purple, if he's the Predator, if it's the alien, whatever. And I think that's what maybe is holding a lot of people back from not putting an alien or a different, species at the forefront of a book or a movie,
I think the closest movie that ever almost hit that on the nail, but still, still did that same thing, was Avatar. Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
That was the closest movie I've ever seen that touches base on that. But still, the main character is a human, but most of the film is a human try to become part of that, part of that society, part of their race,
right?
Be amongst them. And that was the whole portion of the movie that I loved. I loved the whole culture, Natiri, the whole thing. I didn't care about the humans at all. I was just waiting for those scenes to be over and done with, so I can just go back to the guy, I forget his name, Jake Sully.
Yeah, that was the character.
Yeah. I was just waiting for Jake, those scenes where he's in that alien body and he's just trying to figure out their culture and, hunting the animals and just learning their ways. That was more interesting to me than the rest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was rooting for them to kill all the humans.
Yeah. Yeah, but that movie, I think that movie came so close to that point, and I think that was one of the biggest reasons why that movie was highly successful for as long as it was, despite certain people hating on it for the story.
Yeah.
Well, that and people finally felt like they got their money's worth when they had to sit down and watch a movie for like what 12 hours.
Around that.
So something like that. But yeah, this image is killer too.
Thank you. I was actually when I was doing that image in October, I was just like, I was kind of having like a rough summer, just trying not to draw, like, and I was trying to get back into it, and it was hard. And when October came around the corner, I was trying to like do small commissions for people, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done anything in Sonderon for a little while, so I'm just going to do that. So I did Sonderon, that image, and I inked it up. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'll make this a comic. This would be great. So I hit Brett up. I was like, hey, I would like this to be a book. This is what I got as an idea, and I wrote like the whole idea for the book. Like, I forgot what it was, but it was like in particular. But I was like, oh, I want this to like him to be on an alien planet, and he's like trying to survive against like these Cthulhu type monsters, and it was just this whole he's on the run kind of thing. And I was like, hey, let's make this a book. Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to write this? He's like, hell yeah. And the thing was like within a day or two, he sends the script back to me. Oh my God, man. I was like, man, this is cool. So I started doing a few pages here and there. But as I was reading the script thoroughly, more and more, it was awesome. For a horror book, horror sci-fi, it was really, really cool. So I was like, man, I'm going to make a Kickstarter. And I want everybody to know the story. So I texted him. I was like, I'm going to open up a Kickstarter. This is what we're going to do. And he's like, all right.
And now it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sonderon featured in an Ashcan comic called Man Mountain Merton.
Yep. One of the commissions I had to do for somebody, I think it was Scott Rosenberg. He was doing a Ashcan comic, and I was hired to do a pinup, and I was like, man, should I throw in a suggestion? I emailed him, can I put my OC in there as well? He's like, go right ahead, I don't care. I was like, sweet. So I did the pinup with him in it.
That's cool. That's cool stuff to do too. Rule art by Trey Patterson.
Mm-hmm. He's another Cuba School graduate.
The Sloth Man.
Mm-hmm. The guy who created that character is actually my roommate. His name's Jack French, and Slothman is actually in Anthology Book 1 as well as the first appearance. And I really wanted to give as much as I could for this comic that's on the Kickstarter, and I loved it when I was reading comics. You get a backup story, and I always thought that was great. So I was like, you know what, Jack, would you like to do a side story for the back of the book? And he goes, all right. So it's a 4-page backup story of Slothman. I'm not going to go ahead and give away the details because the script's really funny, and I'm going to be posting up updates as he does the artwork. But Slothman's insanely, he's very powerful. Like,
Is he slow?
Oh no, he's just too overpowered in every way. He's just like that weapon. If I remember correctly, the Nazis. He was like supposed to be the perfect weapon that the Nazis was going to make, and it backfired on him. I don't know much about the rest of the information. I know Brett has written a little bit on that with Jack,
Yeah. Basically, Slothman was conceived during the Nazi regime because they were thinking, they needed something to give them the edge in World War II. And, what's the most dangerous and dreadful creature in nature? It's a sloth, so they figured, we'll take the attributes of a sloth and man and mix them up, and we'll have the perfect killing machine. And they got far enough to create Slothman, but when Slothman figured out that the Nazis weren't necessarily the good guys, he totally left that train station and decided to fight for good against all forms of evil. So so he just roams the world, and with powerful destructive claws, but with a heart of gold,
And peppermint patties.
That's right. That's his weakness.
What I wouldn't do for a peppermint patty right now. So, it's like, say hello to Slothman, and it's kind of like, welcome to the Isle of Dr. Moreau.
Right. Yeah. Like that,
That's pretty cool, though. I can dig it, and it's a a little backup story in the back of the book. That's definitely taking it like a little old school.
Mm-hmm. I also a lot of people have been hitting me up for a variant cover. So if you scroll down just a little bit more, you're gonna see inked version. That's gonna be the variant cover that people can get.
Oh, that's a cool rad image from.
Oh, that image.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam Kubert decided to do a contribution piece to Anthology Book 1. Completely shocked all of us. And it was just one of those things where it was being at the right moment, right place at the right time. And he did it because it was over the summertime, and he caught me in the hallway, and he just asked, he heard me talking about like how I love the book and I love the people that were working on it, and it all together we were like a family at the Cuba school, and my goal was to do the best that I could, and he connected with that. So he was like, "Is there anything that you want me to do for the book?" I was stuttering, I didn't know what to do, so he's like, "Think about it over the weekend." So I approached him on Monday in his office, and I was like, "Is this too much to ask?" He's like, "Done." So he did the image. So I thought, to show the impact of Sonderon as a character, and I thought it'd be great to show this piece on Kickstarter. It won't be a thing that I'll sell as prints. This is just an example to show people that, this character is, a lot of people love this character, and if you're passionate about something, you work hard at it, you can get like some amazing things.
And for $100,000, you can have your own one-of-one Joe Kubert Sonderon variant cover.
Oh, nah. If I only had that kind of money.
Well, that's Adam too.
And these are your interiors.
Mm-hmm.
That is damn.
Thank you.
When I first looked at the Kickstarter and I watched the video and then scrolled down and thought you knew how to sign your name like Joe Cooper, and then I get to this piece, I was like, oh damn.
Thank you.
Like this is
actually going to be a print. This is going to be a print on the $15 tier. So people have a choice between print A, print B, or print C. So, that's an option for people to get.
Yeah. So this is print B, which means I went past. So this is print A right here.
Print A, print B. All the way at the top was print C.
Okay. And this is the logo for
Dwarf Star Comics.
Dwarf Star Comics.
That's my own little indie comic group.
There's a cool little colored piece.
Yeah. That was I did that after discovering Jonathan Weishak. Jonathan Weishak's artwork is stunning, and he's all hands in. He'll use his fingers, like every tool he can get his hands on is just his intricate detailing and exaggeration of the form is so cool that I bought one of his books on his website, and once I got it in the mail, I saw it. I was like, man, this stuff is beautiful. So I wanted to do a piece of trying to like emulate a little bit of what I saw.
Yeah, that came out cool. And then we had everybody that's working on this project.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, of course, Taylor Esposito, your letterer, Jack French. What is he do? What's Jack doing art wise in the book?
Oh, he's doing the backup story. He's doing the Slothman.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Derp. You know that thing we just talked about 2 minutes ago? Yeah, that's him. Oh, okay.
Adam Quinones, the colorist, he's also a recent Cuber School graduate with us from our year.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin Ronquillo did a back cover pinup, and then Eugene Zabrowski and Summer Gagliardi down below. Those two are stretch goal, and they're also recent Cuber School graduates.
And you scroll down, and Sandow's sticking his tongue out at you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I looked at this, and I'm like, with the way the colors are laid out on this on Barda, all I could think was, I go, oh, there's some Scott Hanna influence right there.
Thank you. Also, too, if you haven't read The Immortal Hulk, I suggest you get on that, man. That book is so amazing.
I've been reading the Hulk since I was 10.
Yeah, The Immortal Hulk is just it takes you back to that.
It's so good. And then I got excited because I found out I had 5 copies of #1 and it was worth money. And I'm like, and I actually have. I don't collect Iron Man. I'll read a story arc here or there. But usually a good friend of mine's a huge Iron Man fan. And we'll be chatting one day and I'll just be like, hey, so what's Shellhead up to? Oh, this and this. I go, okay, good enough.
Pretty much.
And a friend of mine, we have another podcast that all we do is, deep dive into back issues, like gold, silver.
Oh man,
bronze. And because it's 2 old guys, Thomas and I are, around the 50 mark. So we decided as a joke, because the owner of Outright Geekery, every time I would bitch about something, he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, Boomer." So we named it.
Man.
So we named the podcast "Okay, Boomer."
You know, you're gonna feel like your gut twisting when I say this, but I have Brave and the Bold issue number 1 through 10. From the 50s, I had the first appearance of Martian Manhunt. I had like a lot of like key stuff like from the Golden Age. When I was little, when I was in 5th grade or around that time frame, I wanted my Amazing Spider-Man stuff, so I traded that stuff in to swap like for the other ones. If I knew what I knew, if I know what I knew now about those books, I would have told my little self to like, no, don't do it,
Yep.
because those books are just so valuable right now. I mean, just Brave and the Bold issue 1 alone. We're talking about like they were great copies. There was no tears. The colors were vibrant. Like they were solid copies.
Well, I've got the first 2 appearances of Silver Age Catwoman.
Oh,
because it's in Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody goes, "Oh, well, here's the first appearance." I go, "You do know that's like half a story, and the other half of the story continues in the next issue. So to have the full first appearance, you have to have both of them." And I have them. They look like a dog ate my homework copies, but I still have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sold my collection many times over, and I could kick myself because I ran out of money, but I wanted to read the newest. Because you know how like in the summertime, Marvel likes doing. We're gonna do everything bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to double up on books, and I'm like, I don't have any money, and I don't want to miss out on Peter David's Hulk or Todd McFarlane's ASM. The new issues are coming in, and I've got like 4 or 5 bundled up, and I'm like, so I traded in some books. I traded in prior issues of Amazing Spider-Man so I could read the newer ones.
Oh man, what a mistake!
Along with Submariner number 1, Doctor Strange number 1, and the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill.
Oh wow!
And I just bought not the first appearance of Beta Ray, but I just scored the first appearance of Stormbringer. So it's an early Beta Ray, and I actually have one of the Beta Ray Bill like action figures from the Marvel line from probably about 30 years ago. It's about this big. It was in like one of the dollar bins at Toys R Us. I saw it, and I've set it up and played with it so much. He's got one leg that's loosey goosey, so I had to figure out a way to tighten it up. But he's got the cape, he's got he's got Stonebringer and everything, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm never getting rid of that action figure. I had the Diamond exclusives. They did their version of the old Mego figures.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And I sold my buddy Thomas from OK Boomer the Thor from that, because they had multiple costumes. Plus they made the old style like boxes that the world's greatest superhero figures used to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So it came with classic comic book Thor, which I had as a kid. Then it came with the costume and the new hammer for the MCU. And then it came with a complete costume change and different head so you could turn him into Dr. Donald Blake.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool.
You know, and as much as you want to open him up and play with him, you don't have to because it's a nice big window in front, so you can just set him up. Like I got the Daredevil, Captain America, and Wolverine sitting up on a sill against my brick wall over here. So
nice.
You know, I saw this Hulk, and I was just thrown off because I don't think I've really ever seen like the V-neck Hulk before. Because Hulk is so big, so everybody usually draws the broad shoulders going out. So it's cool because it's like a different introspect on him. And Ghost Rider, I like how you have like the white hot flames coming out of like the holes in his face.
Thank you. These are just examples for people who want the $50 tier. I'll do the headshots like these if they're interested in it on a comic book backboard.
And I know this is from an anime thing. And
Spirited Away. Yeah, that movie's great. I recommend you watching it, man. Like
I hear all kinds of things. My daughter's like 13. So her whole world is like, anime and Animal Crossing on the Switch. So examples of Jack's work. Great stuff. Moon Knight, Batman, The Crow, Winter Soldier. Sonderon Voyage sticker. So these are the stretch goals. If you hit 6,300, the first stretch goal, you'll have a brand new 4-page Gothic horror sci-fi story from Kubert School graduate Summer.
Yeah.
I'll just stop at Summer. I'm like, I don't want to butcher anybody's last name.
Gagliardi.
Thank you. That's what you're here for. And if it hits 7,500, Eugene finally for the second backup story will be an actual Sonderon 4-page adventure by Eugene Zabrowski. Hey, I got it right. Another great graduate from the Kubert School. And the thing that I like that you did is everybody that is or has the potential of doing like add-ons for stretch goals in here you guys all have like their social media reach outs on there. And of course, Dwarf Star Comics has a Facebook page and an Instagram page. And I want to scroll up to that color piece you did. Here we go. We'll leave it right there as we talk about the tiers. Of course, the Pledge Without a Reward $10 tier.
And it's his gas money,
Well, that's right below. Pledge $1 or more for Sanderon's gas money. He's got to get through this adventure. He can't go without gas.
It's got to happen.
One of the first creators I interviewed for a crowdfunder was Graham Nolan. And I had met Graham because back in 2019, before all this crap happened, I covered Rhode Island Comic Con for Outright Geekery, and Graham was one of the guests. I basically hung out in Artist Alley the entire time. So I got to meet Neil Adams, talked to him for like about 45 minutes to an hour before the main doors opened. It was like, free access, and I was part of the press to get there. So I get to talk to him while he was still in a good mood. I hung out with Graham for a while, and he was talking, not a lot of detail because he was getting ready to launch it in a few months. Was the Chenoo that he just finished, and Bill McKay and Tom Mandrake and
Tom was our instructor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Both second and third year of the school.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping I hit Powerball before I went there, so I could have commissioned him to redraw that glow in the dark Spectre cover that he did back in the 90s.
Oh, that thing is great. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So pledge $1 or more for gas money for Sonderon. $5 or more is the holographic imagery. You get a digital PDF of the Voyage. $10 or more gets you a hard copy of the book, digital download, and your name is mentioned on the support page of the book. $15 or more, a print with the tail behind it, so you get to choose between A, B, or C. And then, of course, you get a physical copy of the book in the PDF and your name on the page for support. $15 or more, you can get the Jack French variant cover. Your choice of a print. And, of course, the physical and digital copy of the book and your name on the support page. $20 or more, you get the Cosmic Takeover. PDF, hard copy, a signature on the hard copy, a 6x9 print, and your name there. Now, this had me concerned when I got further down, because I read $20 or more is a retailer 10-pack.
Yeah, so for comic book stores all around, if they want to go ahead and pledge 20, they'll go ahead and get quantity of 10 books. I forget what else they get.
10 books and the store's name on the support section of the book.
Yep.
I mean, that's cheap.
Yeah, it's the amount of money it takes to make the book as the quantity gets up. It's not much. The stores can go ahead and make it. Can make their money on it. It works on both ways, so it helps me out. It helps them out.
Have you talked to Danny Morales from the collective down in Florida?
No, but Brett is from Florida, and he can.
Mm-hmm. Danny Morales, okay.
Danny Morales. He is. You can find him, of course, in the Comic Book Madness. You can just type in his name at the top of the page, and you'll be able to find it. He works at the collective. I know the store is moving. They're moving to a much bigger location, and they are.
Where in Florida, by the way?
Oh, Central.
Oh, okay. That's a little. I'm all the way down south, but I'm sure we could reach out to him.
I'm in Southern Florida. You might know it as Cuba.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And you may know Central Florida as the Carolinas.
That's okay. I have some family in the Carolinas.
It's true. That's what they always say about Florida. The higher up, from Orlando up into the Panhandle, it becomes more the Carolinas, and then when it's further down south, like you said, it's more, an offshoot of South America and Cuba.
Yeah. The collective does their own podcast.
Mm.
And they have like a whole wall of like a whole like big section of indie books.
Mm.
Because when the entire industry shut down earlier last year, the only way to get books was from indie creators. And the only way to keep your store open was to have new stuff for people to check out and read. And since, Marvel, DC, and a bunch of the others all shut down, plus Diamond shut down, the only way to get it was, guys like you would mail them, sell them books and, mail them a package and, next day here at a, 2-day delivery, whatever it was. And they'd get books and they put them up there. They do a thing where they'll take a certain book from the indie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they display it right up on the front counter. So it's like everybody sees it.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Another store to check out that is, very indie friendly and supports a lot of indie comics is Space Cadets in Texas, Jen King store. Jen was one of the people that one of the main people that got together and created the Comic Book Shopping Network.
Oh wow,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but once you get in there, it's like crack. You can't get out. Once we wrap this, and I download the episode to put it up on eachradio.org. About 11:45, I'll be tuning into a show to, yet again buy more stuff. I'm like, damn it. There's always more comics to buy. But yeah, that's awesome right there. $20 for, 10 issues of the book. And I know Danny pushes like indie stuff all the time.
Brett, get on the horn.
Yeah, because he knows his customers. So if somebody's into like sci-fi or horror, and the Voyage is being displayed at the front of the store, plus in the regular indie rack, he's gonna recommend it to people. Be like, you should check this. You should check this book out.
Also too. He might be interested in the $225 one where he gets this exclusive variant cover.
It's a good perk,
Yeah.
And would that be for all the covers?
Oh yeah, not one cover will be the same. So let's say 5 comic shops clicked that ad spot for that tier, right? Those covers they're gonna get are gonna be different from each other. I'll be creating a brand new variant cover for each person who pledges for that tier.
Okay, so like his store pledges and like 3 other stores pledge. Each store gets their own variant cover.
They get their own variant.
Okay.
It's not like when I say that.
The way you said it, I'm like, you're going to sell them this many books and each one's going to have a different variant cover for their store.
Yeah, of course. Because And when I say that, I'm not going to go ahead and draw a variant cover exclusive to that store, and then I'll like change the color, or I'll move an arm or something like for the next cover. No, each image will be completely different.
That's a project all its own right there.
Yeah, I feel like I should. When people look at this Kickstarter, and granted it's my first one, the work is nothing to me. As long as I know that people out there are reading this character, I'm really passionate about his story, and I really do see it going somewhere. I don't know when, and I don't know how. So I'm going to do the best that I can to do all the work that I can now to make sure it's out there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw him as many times as I can, um, do as many books as I can until it clicks.
Cool. Now you're doing inked bust sketches.
Yep.
For $50, and of course everybody gets everything else, plus the so you get your name in the book, you get the PDF, the hard copy, you're gonna get a sticker, and you're gonna get an inked bust sketch from you, and a choice of print, and the book will be signed too. And you've already had 5 people jump on that. Wow, you're going to be busy in this one. And then Jack French has the same deal. His are 75.
Because the size is different. It's a little bit bigger than the size I'm drawing in. And oh my god, man, Jack's commissions are out of this world, man. Like,
yeah, I saw his when we were scrolling down, and I'm like, cool characters to pick. And I saw the Moon Knight, and I go, dude, everybody's going to want him to draw Moon Knight. Yeah, because I'm looking. Yeah, because your sketches are 6x9, and oh no, those are the prints. Oh yeah, and yours is 6x9, and Jack's are 9x12. Yeah.
Yep. That's definitely a big difference on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's already had 3 people jump on that. $120 or more. An original page of art from the book. Whoa. And you're already halfway through with those.
Yeah.
6 available. 3 people already jumped on that.
I feel like the more and more I'll do that I do podcasts this week and stuff like that, I feel like that's going to be gone. I feel like it's going to be gone.
Dude, that's going to an original comic art page, from anybody is, 100, ones that don't have like major, a major, the main character on the page, it's just like, the bad guy of that issue, or, just, random stuff leading up to something in the book, you might see being sold for like, 75 to 100. And then, like if something's got like, a major action scene on a page,
I'm going to make sure that like the ones
it's like 150 and up. Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that the ones that I pick are going to be like really cool shots, and that people are going to get a good look on that.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I love original art. And here's the one you were talking about, the 225. Before I was excited, now I am numb. And of course, this is another. This is a retailer tier as well.
Yeah, but it's not just for like comic shops, it's for podcasts and everyone else.
Yeah, anybody can buy this one. Yeah.
Do you remember when you read comics, the ads in between? You'd see this like it was like all these panels. You'll see like different little gadgets and toys and stuff.
Oh
Ads.
yeah. Oh, I love those.
That's how I'm doing the ads, like the borders and stuff like that. That's how I'm setting it up.
Oh, cool.
So when you get that slot in, the borders and stuff is going to have like this high tech sci-fi machinery that connects all of them to make it look nice. I'm not going to just place it in. You see the ads and that's it. It's boring. Like I'm going to make it look nice. Like it's part of the book.
Cool. Plus, you get 25 copies of the book with your own variant cover, plus 30 prints. One person has already jumped on that, and
I still have a bunch on that to go.
Yeah, you still have plenty of these, but I mean, the more podcasts you go on, like you said, the original art page, you only got 3 left. Those are gonna go really quick.
Yeah, talking to Pops Van Zant yesterday, a couple of the guys and stuff. I was basically saying, the one thing I am worried about is I have 12 days. 11 days. My bad. I have 11 days left to go on this. I am a little bit worried. I really don't want this project to like go down, and I am trying to do the best I can to try to get it out there. But when you think about like 31 days total, you're like, oh, that's fine. But now it's 11. You're like, now you're sweating bullets, and that's how worried I am. So I'm just like doing my original pages every day. The more and more pages I do, I'm going to make another update. But it's just it is nerve wracking, I really don't want this one to fall through.
Oh no, you're going to be podcasted out.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, once we're done here, like I said, I'm going to download the audio of this, and it's going to go up on my downloadable podcast thing. Then Kevin will wake me up with an email or a text at 3:00 in the friggin' morning. What episode number was that? So I can post it and put it on the website. I'm like, here it is.
Yeah.
I should just save myself like a phone call and just download it and email him the link for the downloadable link for the episode.
I mean, I do it because right after this is done, I'm going to be messaging him, hey, I just did a podcast with this so-and-so, and once I get the link or however, but I'm just like, he's probably going to do it.
Yeah, he already know. Like if you told him you were on here tonight, he's like, oh yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this is just me being excited, but me and Brett are both really excited about how how people are going to figure out what the ending's like. Like once you figure out what's happening, yeah, oh my god, like this is really cool. Like it connects you to like those shows like Firefly or Battlestar Galactica, like certain like horror events, and you're like, oh my god, that just reminds like certain tidbits just remind you of pieces from the shows and books that you love. And when I read that ending, the whole the fight scene and everything, what happens, man, I was so happy. I was like, I cannot freaking wait to start drawing this.
Well, I'm excited for you guys because I can hear the passion for the project in your voice.
Yeah, like
you're all excited. You're like a couple of 5-year-olds on a Saturday morning waiting for the cartoons to start.
Well, yeah, it's
and a big bowl of Fruity Pebbles.
Well, it's also irritating because my day job takes like a good portion of my hours every week away, and I just wish, man, do I really have to work? Can't I just be on unemployment? Like should I just quit now? Like because
why do I have to work a real job?
Yeah, but
what the hell?
I'm tired of adulting.
While I'm at work, I'm just like, man, I got like that'd be a cool panel setup, or man, that would be a great visual. So I have to wait till I get home after a long day. I'm like, man, and I could have just spent that whole day doing it. So
you gotta put your voice recorder like on the front screen of your phone, and just keep tapping that and recording like ideas that pop into your head while you're working the day job, so you can go home and listen to that and draw what you were thinking of early in the day that you might have forgot about.
yeah.
I just want to know where Brett got his Spider-Man robe.
Oh, this I don't. This is I got it as a gift, so I don't know. I'll have to ask that person where they got it from.
He's sporting all the comic book wear tonight.
The
old X-Men T-shirt, the Spider-Man robe.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of like collectors and stuff like that, just recently came in, and I know Brett's gonna appreciate this because Brett is a massive toy collector, bro. Like his toy collection is just unlike I've ever seen. Like but when Marvel Legends first came around the corner in 2002 or somewhere around there, they did a box set, a certain amount of box sets, different ones, and I got a Spider-Man versus Sinister Six box set a couple days ago. And it's like, yeah, man, it's
that big one. Like I think they did also a set with the X-Men too, because I think I have the X-Men.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I've got the X-Men set, and at the time that X-Men set was going for big money, and then they're like, oh well, they made a better one, so now that one's worthless. I'm like, well, if it's worthless, I can take them out of the package and play with them now.
Yeah.
The hell with you guys.
Nah, I was super happy about that, but toys, I'll get certain things that I'm like, okay, that's good. But I'm a huge comic book collector, so the hard part for me, and it's something our instructors said when we got into the school. They said you have to separate yourself now. Like you came in as fans and like want to be artists and whatnot, but now you have to make that distinction, that separation. Are you going to be a fan on the way out? Or are you going to be a freelance artist? Because you can't. You can be both, but there's obviously a
fine line.
A fine line. There's a tip in that scale, because when you're a freelance artist, you're going to need that money. You're always going to be working and stuff like that to pay certain things, and eventually switch over from your regular day job and whatnot. Where you're a collector, you're going to be spending your monies on all this stuff as a fan. So yeah, every now and then I have to push back. Ever since I got out of school, I have to figure out. I'm like, nope, I gotta avoid that and just pick and choose certain things. No, a lot more.
Well, as an artist, you will also be jonesing until you can actually go to a live convention and make that con money, like at a New York Comic Con or C2E2 or San Diego. And
I can't wait till this is done and over with, because I miss those cons. I really do.
There was a small one in Kentucky last weekend. Raymond Mann from who's the owner of Silverline Publishing.
Roland Mann, yeah.
Roland, yeah.
Yeah.
And his writer that wrote the Kickstarter, the newest Kickstarter there, Teen Beetle.
Yeah, Peter Clinton actually did the cover of that. He's also another Cuba School graduate. He's a good friend. He actually did a story in that anthology book that I was talking about earlier as well.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Peter's super talented.
But he had like family somebody in the family was sick, and they had to cancel Monday night. So we're gonna hopefully get him back in before the campaign's over.
Yeah, no, I'm actually with Roland after this Kickstarter. I actually have to jump on Roland's book, because me and him we were in the middle of talking the end of last year about a sci-fi comic together and stuff, and things just got in the way when it came to money problems. I had to do a lot of commissions and stuff, unfortunately. But once I'm finished with this Kickstarter and this month is done, I'm jumping. I'm going to email him and jump on immediately onto that. Yeah,
he doesn't release any info on a book until the entire thing is done.
I think it's smart.
The whole thing's in the can, and all they have to do is send it to the printers.
Mm-hmm.
Then he launches the Kickstarter.
I think it's a smart way to do it.
Yeah. If you can get down to that, get down to that level, like in the future, like the whole books, get the entire, after you've done like so many projects, you got a bigger fan base built up, then you can have that money roll in, and you roll it from this project into the next one. So that one's already paid before you even start it.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's done, then you launch your crowdfunders and go from there.
With the way planning's very key, and I was talking to Brett earlier about it, but I'm not worried when it comes to like the progression of how this book gets done once it funds, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Because this whole month,
got a beetle flying around. Must be because I was talking about Team Beetle.
I'm going to get all my black and white artwork done for this. Same thing with my roommate. He's going to get it done by this month. So all the artwork is going to be done this month. And then, I'm going to send it to my colorist. My colorist is going to need about 2.5 weeks to color it. Then that will be done. My letterer, Taylor Esposito, letters, dude, he's lettered hundreds of books. It's going to take him a day to letter that book for certain things. So it's not going to be an issue. Like when I definitely see this book shipping out near the end of March, and I will be updating people on that too.
That's really good. All the updates that you're doing to and then 73 people get an email, and they're like, "Oh, new stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And they get excited like all over again.
No, I think that's important because I backed a few Kickstarter projects, and a couple Indiegogo stuff, but the one thing I was like, I'm kind of like unsure about is the time frame on getting those books. If it's taking like longer than like 6-7 months and stuff, that's a long time. So, I think that like planning is it's a big key thing in the Kickstarter. Once you fund it, is get it done as soon as possible. Make it like your number one priority, and just get it out there. Because people will just lose interest after a while. They're just eventually they're gonna forget that, and that's something I don't want.
Yeah,
because it's always tough to keep memento going.
Mm-hmm.
On a project, but it's always good to reconnect with the fans, and you gotta share this out like all the time, because that's what I'm doing right now while we're still talking. I just tweeted out the Kickstarter to my friends out in Texas that have a podcast every Thursday, Lost in Comics. And they do an indie comics highlight like every week.
That's cool.
So awesome, yeah.
And I am now tagging Danny on Facebook, telling him about the great retailer dealers you guys have on this Kickstarter.
Thank you. It's
that way you guys can see my post on my personal page, and then you can just click and send them a friend request so you can keep in touch with them.
It amazes me to know that it's not about the amount of money you get; it's the amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just baffles me, But it makes sense, and I understand. Hopefully, with 73 backers right now on the Kickstarter, I'm hoping that that's actually a good pivot moment to start seeing a lot of improvement in the algorithm to start, with traveling. Because Brett, we were on comicsbeat.com. That's
Right.
one of the top 5 Kickstarters to invest in.
Yeah. I do remember.
That threw me out like for a loop. I was like, really? Like,
Yeah.
and that was on the second week of the month.
Yeah, when you sent me that, I was like, like, wow, that's pretty awesome, to tell you the truth,
Mm-hmm.
Another crew that's good to touch base with and see if they have room on one of their podcasts, because they do like a million of them, is the guys from Indie Volt, Varian Grant, who also runs Liberty Distribution, which is distribution for nothing but indie comics.
That's really cool.
Distribution.
Ooh, Brett's ears perked up. Distribution. Ooh.
Right?
That's a magic word. Liberty's got like 100% return guarantee. So they send, whatever books a store will buy, they put them in kind of like a subscription box. Like if you've seen the Scout Comic subscription box, it's really nice like that. It's like everything's like, double bubble wrapped and taped down. They don't move. They're all bagged and boarded. So the store has to agree to display them bagged and boarded.
Yeah.
If they don't sell, they can send them back, and they'll give them a refund or a credit. Because if they're not selling at one store, it doesn't mean they won't sell at a different store.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool. I was thinking about it all day today. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it is once we get to 85 backers, I'm gonna go ahead and throw make an announcement like, hey, somebody's gonna receive an original piece of art that was involved in the book. So once we get to 85 back, I'm gonna make an announcement on the update section that somebody's gonna get an original piece of artwork once we hit 85.
You just made the announcement.
Oh, not here, but
exclusive.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recommendation from Pops.
It definitely is.
I can tell,
It definitely is.
He was the recipient of one of those one time, and he pushes that with like everybody that he interviews and talks to.
He's right.
You ever thought of doing this? Another big one down the road is cross collaboration.
Yep.
Between creators for variant covers, and to do a digital package where other creators will donate to other creators the PDFs of their book, so people can use that in a stretch goal, so they can get like a dozen indie comics to read on top of the one that you're kickstarting.
That's really cool.
That's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
See, I actually learned something in a year. Doing 82 episodes now. I went crazy for a little while. I was doing like 5 or 6 a week. And I was
wow.
I'm like, oh, this is work now. I gotta tune back, because Thomas on Boomer is a retail manager. So sometimes we have to, flip the episode to, a Wednesday. So I keep like Wednesday and Thursday open for that. This week we're doing it Thursday. So I can slip in like another podcast tomorrow night if I want to. And Friday's already booked with another guy that is with Kevin Goulet.
Wow.
It really I do appreciate you having us on here tonight. I know it was last minute. I just when Pops gave me some names to throw out, and with the days that we had left, I just there was no time, so I figured I needed to message everyone quick.
Oh, yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Oh, this is good. I would have just been watching reruns of the old Magnum PI and
Yeah.
drinking coffee and eating popsicles or something. I don't know. Well, reading a book because I gotta finish reading a graphic novel for Thursday night for the show. But
Mm.
we're doing the Joker story that Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo did like
Oh,
about 20
yeah,
years ago.
Oh, that book. Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah,
that was a solid book.
yeah,
I'm telling. If you haven't
Oh,
finished that, you're gonna love it.
it's so good.
yeah.
Like even to this point, it's so good. I could have gone without like Riddler having question mark tattoos going around his belly button, but other than that, and the way and you can tell like from now, from now, like how much better Vermeil's gotten, and he was like amazing back then.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm just like, just blown away. I bought that book hardcover when it came out. And for some reason, for a Joker fan, I actually never read the damn book.
No,
It's probably because I was working a day job at the time and a night job. I ended up I died back in 2016.
Oh wow.
Oh God,
But
man.
it's fine. It was only a flesh wound. I had like 3 like wicked bad infections, and they lost me on the operating table, resuscitated me, and I coded like a few more times while I was in ICU.
Oh my God.
To put me into a medical coma.
Wow.
So luckily, a good friend of mine at work took all these boxes that make it look like I'm living in a warehouse, and stored them at his house. They had been there for like 5 years. All these boxes filled up a 22-foot long trailer.
Wow. Ooh.
I got a lot of shit. Comics, action figures.
I'm actually looking for like 50 more books of Amazing Spider-Man to finish my collection. That's it. If you got them.
I actually opened the Ghost figure.
Oh, that's pretty solid.
I opened it up because the plastic around the figure was like, brittle and cracked and everything.
Yeah, it gets that yellow color and everything.
Yeah, like a piece of the corner it actually just like disintegrated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it came with like an exclusive cover, an exclusive comic, like a number 0 or a number 1 or whatever. And it was an Adam Hughes cover. And I wasn't too impressed with the Adam Hughes cover, but somebody else did the back. Sienkiewicz did the back cover, and that one blew me away. But I took the book out, and the way they packaged the figure, it like ripped it had like 2 little tears in like the cover. And I'm like, so I'm sending that cover off to another guy that was on CromCon that actually cuts up comics and makes like artistic displays out of them.
Oh, that's cool.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're so awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I've seen someone who took old issues and they like wrapped their furniture in it. It's pretty cool. Actually, that was at a convention that I went to a couple years back, and you see all these old Batman covers and stuff on a coffee table and stuff, and you almost feel guilty about putting your coffee on there,
Yeah, I saw that like probably about 20 years ago. Somebody had done that, like a couple of like small end tables, and they did that. And my first knee-jerk reaction was to beat the hell out of the guy for destroying comic books to make furniture. And I guess I started getting a little red in the face, so the guy was like, the books were already trashed before I made this. These were just damaged issues, and I took the best parts of them and made a collage. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh. Blood pressure came down a little bit. I started feeling better, and I'm gonna replace the NSC thing up in the corner by you, Zach. And I'm gonna show off what a Joker fan I am. A really good friend of mine airbrushed the back of my biker leather jacket.
Gotcha.
With all Joker stuff.
Oh wow!
All from Alex Ross.
Oh wow!
That's gorgeous.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Very cool.
And of course, the stupid nerd that I am, when I wore that to a couple of different Comic-Cons, I had girls coming up and complimenting the jacket, and I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks. And I just kept rummaging through boxes instead of talking to the girl, and then of course they wander away.
Well, your books were still there. That's the important thing,
Yeah,
women come and go, but at the end of the day, as long as we got those books bagged and board, we're never alone.
With me, they always go. So, because I had Sean on last night for the first artist highlight, and he was talking about how his ex-wife used to badger him about doing comic book, doing art and like all his action figures and comic books. When are you gonna grow up? And he goes, well, and now I need to sell enough art so I can buy back a bunch of these comic books and a bunch of Darth Vader stuff to make my Darth Vader shrine because I've gone to the dark side.
At that point, you just give it to your kids. You're like,
he's got 5 kids, so. But it's like there's like so much stuff. Like I'll start like flipping through a box, and I had like 2 8-foot tables in my bedroom because my bedroom was huge. When you would walk up the hallway to it, and then you would open the door, it was I nicknamed it the TARDIS.
There you go.
My bedroom in the condo I was renting was almost as big as this, and this is like 2,400 square feet. So I'm like finding stuff, doing what's in the box videos, and like I found this one per case Jack O'Neill from Stargate precast figure, and all kinds of stuff like the Ghost figure and 1989 Batman toys, and
yeah, those are good.
I love those.
Some original Migos. I found an original 1970s Spider-Man Migo.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's worth a lot of money if that rubber band didn't snap.
It's not that body type. There was one Spider-Man in particular where it was a different. They altered the print on the costume, and a certain print on the costume is worth, just the costume itself is worth like $300 or $400.
Oh wow. Okay.
But they apparently ran out of parts because my Spider-Man doesn't have red hands to match the costume. He's got white hands, so it's like he took his gloves off.
Huh.
So I just pretend that mine is in pre Amazing Spider-Man 50 mode where he's going to throw the costume out in the trash. The gloves are already off.
That's a good cover. Oh no, that's a good page. Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys so much for coming on, and this project looks awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
I hope you have a nice conversation with Danny, and he orders some of these for the store.
So, Brett, you do have the information, right?
Danny Morales. Yeah, I'm gonna go look him up and try and get in touch with him. Right, he's with the. It's called the Collective.
Yeah.
Collective. Okay, and that's in Central Florida, you said, right?
Yeah. I know they're moving. They're not moving too far from their present location.
Mm-hmm.
And their store now is, fairly sizable, but they're moving to like an even bigger location now
Okay.
because they're doing so. They're actually thriving. So I'm like,
Right.
that's awesome. It's not every day you hear about a comic book store thriving in 2020 chapter 2.
Yeah, it's very, very true.
Yeah.
So plus on my personal page, I shared out the Kickstarter, and I tagged him in that. And
Thank you.
I'll tag a couple other people from the CBSN in there, and see if they have any interest in it. And
Thank you. Also, too, when you're all set, send me the link, and I'll go ahead and I'll share that as well.
Yeah. The video is recorded live, so the YouTube link I sent you, you can use that to share the video out, and
Perfect.
I'll have the podcast link done probably within like a half hour, 20 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate
it.
it.
Streamlined now, except for last night's, because 4 hours. Oh my god.
I feel that.
Well, it was great meeting you guys. I wish you all the luck with this first Kickstarter. I hope it gets out there and you hit it, and you hit like another stretch goal at least. I know it's nerve-wracking now because you're in a lull.
Right.
Yeah.
But the last 2 to 4 days is usually like on an upswing. It's like you're climbing the hill of the roller coaster and you're almost at the very top. And the last couple of days is where you just zoom around the track.
Okay, I mean that's a small amount of days.
It's still nerve-wracking, but like I said, as you guys build up a bigger and bigger following over time, you'll end up, a year from now, I hope to see you launching Kickstarters that like fund in 24 hours.
One can only hope. Yeah.
Done. I've talked to people who they actually funded in 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of it is I know the whole Kickstarter thing is actually, to me, seems like more work than the book. And I know how much work that actually is. But there's so much, you got to plan out everything just right with Kickstarter and do everything is, you head down the road with that. But you get the Kickstarter fans, and then you have people that just like Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you could always launch a small secondary one on Indiegogo afterwards.
Mm.
See if you try to build up and push to there. I know some people like Indiegogo better for the fact that the creators actually get a little bit more percentage from of the money where the cuts go to Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Mm.
And I think if you do a full Indiegogo, you can actually leave the book up there as an open store window for 30 days after the campaign's done.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting.
Just some things I've learned. I've never made a comic, but I know a few tricks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate that for sure.
Oh, it's a lot of work. you guys are very talented. Zach, you apparently learned how to draw and stuff at Cooper School, and Brett's apparently got some of that Jeff Lemire magic going on, whipping out full scripts in an hour.
Oh, you have no idea.
I know it was a lifesaver for you.
It really was.
Well, I drew this panel, but damned if I can think of a story. Where's Brett?
No, it's kind of sometimes like, and honest, I'm okay with that. Honestly, I really am.
Well,
keep drawing,
it's a
keep
collaboration,
writing.
you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about good collaborations and good communication with, all the creatives working on your project,
Yep.
Of course.
And there's plenty of good communities out there. I know Pop said Comic Book Madness is fast approaching 2,500 people.
Wow.
And I'm sure he told you about the banner and the page.
Nah, I don't recall. Maybe yes.
If you create a group banner, as long as it's got his logo somewhere in it, with your, with a book of your image and the, you can just look at the banner at the top of the page. He's always switching it, so you can basically get an ad in the Comic Book Madness for a few days.
That's cool.
That's pretty neat.
You make a banner at the top. It's got to have Comic Book Madness and his little logo guy, his little impish guy there, and you can put your cover up there. I know last time I went in, it was the listener was up there. So yeah, hit him up about that. He'll give you all the details.
Okay.
You just make up the image and do it up, or you can even just shoot Kevin a message at 4:00 in the morning. Be like, dude, I need you to make a banner for me for Pop's page.
All right.
And it'll get you a little bit of advertising in the group. So every time somebody comes in the group, the first thing they're going to see is the banner with your book.
All right. Sweet.
It's a good tip. Yeah.
See? Glad I knew something. But I want to thank everybody for stopping in and checking this out, and everybody that'll go away, Beetle, that'll be listening to us on ageofradio.org and all the other places this is casting to right now. It's on Outright Geekery's YouTube channel. It's on Outright Geekery's Facebook page with 23,000 followers. So we get I don't get a huge amount of people that watch it while it's live, but we end up by second day, there's at least 300 to 500 people that have seen it just on Outright Geekery.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, get it out there. But thanks again for hanging out, and we'll see you on the close down of the Kickstarter.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Where it's all funded. You hear that? I said where it's all funded.
Yeah.